It's a beautiful vehicle. International meetings, they fly those with me. And you know what they call that car? They call it the Beast.
The Chinese presidential car, Hongqi N701, has been a symbol of national pride, a rolling fortress, and a highly advanced piece of technology built for the most powerful person in China. Once it passes you by, you would not just stare at it, but will drop your jaw for its luxurious style and aesthetics. A car like this is certainly world-class in performance too. But today, we'll have a peek inside the insane Secret Service vehicle of China's chief. Ready for the ride? Let's begin. The red flag. Alright, let's talk about one of the craziest rides out there, the Hongqi N701. If you've never heard of Hongqi, it's basically China's answer to luxury presidential cars like the American Cadillac One or the German Mercedes Maybachs they use in Europe. But this one? Man, it's on a whole other level. This isn't just a fancy sedan, it's a fortress on wheels, packed with secrets, tech, and enough armor to survive pretty much anything. And the wild part? It's built specifically for the highest level of China's political elite, especially the president. First off, the sheer size of this beast is insane. We're talking about a car that looks like it was designed to swallow up anything around it and just keep rolling. The design is super imposing, all boxy, massive, with an aggressive front grille that screams authority. It's like the kind of car that when it rolls through a street, people don't just notice, they literally stop and stare. It's not subtle, and that's the point. The N701 isn't trying to be low-key, it's showing that this ride means business. But here's where it gets even crazier. The level of security and tech packed into this thing is next-level Secret Service stuff. The whole car is basically a rolling bunker. The armor plating is said to be so thick and sophisticated that it can withstand heavy gunfire and even explosions. Imagine the weight! The engineers had to completely redesign the suspension and chassis to handle it without turning into a sluggish tank. The windows, forget normal glass. These are multi-layered, bulletproof and blast-resistant panels that can withstand pretty much anything. If someone tried to throw a grenade near it or shoot at the car, the occupants inside would barely notice. They're safe, insulated in this fortress of steel. Now, it's not just about defense. The N701 also boasts some of the most advanced communication and surveillance systems ever jam-packed into a car. We're talking encrypted radios, satellite links, and probably some secret sensors and countermeasures that the public doesn't even know about. The president and his security detail can stay connected to the outside world no matter what's happening. No dead zones, no dropped calls, and in a high-stakes situation, that's everything. Plus, the car's electronics can likely detect threats before they even get close, alerting the driver and security team instantly. Inside the cabin, it's like stepping into a luxury bunker. Can you imagine? Let's help you out with more visuals. Plush leather seats, plenty of legroom, and all the comforts you'd expect from a top-tier executive ride. But beneath the surface, it's loaded with life-saving gear. There are probably oxygen supplies, fire suppression systems, medical kits, and maybe even escape tools for emergencies. The driver and security team are trained to handle any situation on the fly, so the car is designed to support quick maneuvers and evasive action. Think bulletproof tires, run-flat capabilities, and an engine that can push through despite the heavy armor. And don't forget the logistics around this car. It's not like it just cruises around like a regular limo. The Transportation Secret Service has a whole network behind it. Backup vehicles, routes planned down to the second, and a tight security bubble wherever the car goes. No random strangers near the route, constant surveillance, and a motorcade that can block off entire streets if needed. Getting into the car isn't just a matter of walking up and opening the door. There are protocols, checks, and layers of security to keep everything airtight. In a way, the Hongqi N701 represents China's ambition and pride in their own tech and engineering. Instead of relying on foreign cars, they designed and built something homegrown, powerful, and packed with advanced tech that rivals any Western presidential vehicle. It's a symbol of status, strength, and technological progress, wrapped in a giant armored shell that says, "This is the future of state security on wheels." Honestly, it's kind of mind-blowing to think about the level of detail and engineering that goes into making something so insane look smooth and sophisticated on the road. How did they come up with it, and how did it even originate? From a secret to a great flex. The Hongqi N701 wasn't just born in a design studio, it was born out of a quiet national ambition, a desire for China to express its sovereignty, confidence and technological maturity through something as symbolic as a car. The N701 is not just a vehicle, it's a rolling statement. While the Hongqi, red flag, brand has long been associated with Chinese state vehicles, the N701 marks a modern-day revival of that tradition, a bold leap forward that fuses historical reverence with cutting-edge design. At its core, the N701 was built with one very specific occupant in mind: the President of China. That single focus shaped every curve of its frame, every whisper of its engine, and every layer of its reinforced armor. Design-wise, the N701 pulls heavily from the classic grandeur of older Hongqi models, particularly the CA770, which used to ferry top Chinese leaders in the Mao era. But where the CA770 was boxy and utilitarian, the N701 adopts a far more streamlined, commanding look. There's a deep elegance in the silhouette, long, wide, and stoic. Yet it avoids Western overstyling. Chinese designers reportedly leaned on traditional elements such as the posture of ancient imperial carriages and even the symmetry of Chinese palatial architecture to inform proportions and balance. The bold grille is unmistakably patriotic, evoking the traditional red flag logo like a modern-day throne on wheels. The development of the N701 was shrouded in a fair bit of secrecy, naturally, since it involves national security and high-level politics. But what's known is that the project brought together a unique mix of China's top automotive talent and state oversight. FAW Group, which owns the Hongqi brand, led the charge in engineering and design, but they didn't work alone. Various national institutions reportedly lent their hands, from military technology experts assisting in armor development to aerospace consultants advising on lightweight structural materials. Even soundproofing experts from state broadcasting agencies are rumored to have helped fine-tune the cabin for absolute acoustic isolation. This wasn't just a car made by engineers, it was a strategic collaboration involving defense, technology, and political symbolism. What really set the N701 project in motion was the shifting image of China on the global stage. As the country started asserting itself more aggressively in international affairs and projecting soft power through infrastructure, space exploration, and technology, there was a growing sentiment that the president should not be riding in something foreign-made or outdated. It was time to retire the modified Audi A8s and BMW 7 Series models that had quietly ferried Chinese leaders for years. The symbolic need for a fully indigenous, unmistakably Chinese state car became a top-down directive, not only as a matter of national pride, but also for security and autonomy in an increasingly complex geopolitical landscape. The rollout of the N701 was timed with high-visibility political events. It was first publicly seen during a major military parade, with President Xi Jinping standing through its open roof addressing the troops. That moment wasn't just about military might, it was about what he was standing in. The N701 was the centerpiece, signaling to the world that China could now produce a head-of-state vehicle every bit as impressive, secure, and symbolic. From that point on, the N701 became a fixture at key state events, from diplomatic receptions to national parades, sealing its identity as the definitive Chinese presidential limousine. It says that China isn't just participating in global affairs anymore. It's leading them on its own terms, in its own style, and from behind the wheel of its own creation. And for a country that places enormous weight on symbols, heritage, and centralized strength, there might not be a more fitting place for the president to ride. World-class technology. While Hongqi has always been associated with the Chinese leadership, the N701 takes things to another level in terms of sophistication, performance, and sheer authority. While specific technical details are tightly guarded, unsurprisingly given it's a presidential vehicle, what's known or widely speculated is that the N701 is powered by a high-displacement V8 or V12 engine. It's not built for racing or 0 to 60 times, but it definitely has enough power to move its massive armored frame swiftly and smoothly in almost any scenario, including emergency situations. The suspension is reinforced and tuned for both comfort and stability, ensuring that high-ranking officials enjoy a smooth ride even on uneven or damaged roads. Its handling, for a car this big, is said to be surprisingly agile thanks to active steering and stabilization systems, making it capable of quick maneuvering if necessary. As mentioned earlier, the Hongqi N701 is essentially a rolling command center. It's rumored to feature advanced communications systems that allow the president to stay in contact with military and government branches at all times. Encrypted satellite links, secure mobile networks, and even EMP-resistant wiring are believed to be part of the setup. The interior is a mix of old-world luxury and cutting-edge tech. You'd likely find plush leather seating, heavy use of wood and metal accents, but also a suite of screens, control interfaces, and maybe even biometric security systems. The N701 is not just about looking good. It's about being ready for anything, from coordinating national responses to surviving a direct threat. And speaking of threats, the armor on this thing is no joke. If you're making a vehicle that will carry a president, how would you design it? While the exact specifications are classified, experts guess that the N701 can withstand small arms fire, explosive devices, and even chemical attacks. The windows are multi-layered bulletproof glass, probably several inches thick, and the body is constructed using composite armor that mixes steel, ceramics, and other secret materials. There are also defense countermeasures like run-flat tires, self-sealing fuel tanks, and possibly an oxygen supply in case of a chemical or biological attack. Some even speculate that the car has a fire suppression system and a secure escape hatch. It's also worth noting that the N701 isn't just a product of luxury and defense. It's also a statement about China's ability to produce elite, homegrown technology. Hongqi, a sub-brand of FAW, First Auto Works, has come a long way from its older designs that were often compared to old-school Soviet limos. The N701 signals China's ambition to rival Western and Russian state cars in both form and function. It doesn't just match the competition, it tries to exceed it, all while carrying deep symbolism. From the custom emblems to the flag mounts and the use of traditional Chinese design elements, the N701 is as much a mobile political message as it is a vehicle. With a mix of powerful performance, cutting-edge tech, and next-level security, it does what any modern presidential vehicle should do: protect and project power. It's the kind of car you don't just see, you feel it coming. Whether you're a fan of automotive engineering, political symbolism, or both, there's no denying that the N701 is one impressive machine, a rolling power of style. Aesthetically, it walks a tightrope between retro authority and modern power, and it does so with the kind of visual confidence you'd expect from something designed to carry the president of China. It doesn't scream luxury, it declares it slowly and with purpose. Let's start with its stance. The N701 is long, very long. The proportions stretch out like a diplomatic red carpet, with a silhouette that looks like it was drawn with a steel ruler. It doesn't do curves or swoops. It does straight lines, squared edges, and broad shoulders, evoking a sense of weight and permanence. It's almost architectural in its presence, like a neoclassical building on wheels. Up front, the grille is enormous, vertically ribbed, and crowned with the iconic red flag emblem. It's the kind of face that doesn't just arrive, it commands. The grille design is deliberate, tall, proud, and unapologetically regal. It's reminiscent of the 50s and 60s state limousines, with thick chrome accents and an almost ceremonial seriousness. If the car were a person, it wouldn't be smiling, it'd be giving a stern nod of approval. The headlights follow suit, rectangular, simple, and outlined in chrome. No LED show-off tricks, no swoopy designs, just clean, respectful lighting that serves its purpose. The sides are equally restrained. The shoulder line runs the length of the car with a ruler's precision, giving it a sense of discipline, even calmness. There's very little fuss, no sharp creases or fake air vents. It's minimalist in a surprisingly luxurious way. The rear of this vehicle keeps that old-school luxury theme going. Tail lights are squared off and neatly framed in chrome. Again, no racing-style cues or digital displays here. The design feels timeless, almost as if it could have rolled out in 1985 or 2025 and still makes sense. Now, the interior, though rarely shown in full detail due to its high security use, is rumored to be a mix of traditional Chinese artistry and ultra-modern comfort. Expect deep wood tones, silk textures, leather fit for a throne, and calligraphy-inspired detailing. It's not trying to be German or American, it's unapologetically Chinese, and that's exactly the point. Design-wise, the Hongqi N701 isn't trying to win over car enthusiasts or influencers. It's not meant to look fast, trendy, or futuristic. It's meant to look important, the kind of car that makes people stand still as it passes. It's about presence, dignity, and national pride, a slow-moving monument on wheels. More than just a ride. This sleek, heavily modified limousine has quietly become a symbol of national pride, strength, and diplomacy. Rolling across Tiananmen Square during parades, ferrying top officials during global summits, and making subtle statements wherever it goes. Every year, on October the 1st, the world gets a front-row seat to one of China's biggest shows of national pride, the National Day Parade. And leading that spectacle, the N701 presidential car, it's not just there to carry the president or top leaders, it's there to represent something. With its custom build, polished black body, and military-grade modifications, it's more than a vehicle. It's a moving display of Chinese engineering and statecraft. During major political events like the Communist Party Congress or key anniversaries, the N701 is often spotted at the front lines. It's where the top brass stand to deliver speeches or review the troops, sending a message of unity and authority. Seeing that car glide past is as much a tradition as the parade itself. It doesn't just make appearances at home, it travels too, sometimes physically and often symbolically. During international summits or when foreign leaders visit China, it becomes a kind of rolling red carpet. It shows up at Beijing Capital Airport, at state dinners, or at photo ops with leaders from around the globe. Why does this matter? Because cars, like uniforms or flags, carry meaning. When the presidential car shows up, it says, "China is here, strong and confident." It's part of the performance of power and prestige that global politics often demands. And when a foreign dignitary gets into that car, it's not just a ride. It's a small step into China's world. Cars can carry more than people. They can carry messages. The N701 isn't just about comfort or security, it's about image. It's designed in China, made in China, and stands as a symbol of the country's technological and political ambitions. By choosing to use the N701 in place of foreign luxury vehicles like Mercedes-Benz or Rolls-Royce, which were once more common, China is making a point. We don't need to borrow symbols of success. We build our own. It's a powerful nod to self-reliance, national pride, and the country's ideological stance on sovereignty and independence. In this sense, the car is a diplomatic tool. It helps set the tone for international engagements and gives foreign leaders a taste of Chinese craftsmanship and values. It also plays a domestic role, reminding citizens of how far the nation has come and where it aims to go. Look a little closer, and it's clear that it plays a bigger role. Whether it's leading a military parade, welcoming foreign presidents, or simply cruising through the heart of Beijing, the N701 is a quiet but powerful piece of China's political machinery, a symbol of leadership. The unveiling of the N701 as China's new presidential state car isn't just a matter of vehicle design, it's a clear political statement. In a world where national pride is increasingly linked to technological achievement, the decision to shift away from foreign luxury brands like Mercedes-Benz and Rolls-Royce in favor of a domestically developed car underscores China's broader ambition. To prove it no longer needs to rely on the West, not even for the most symbolic forms of status and security. The N701, developed by FAW under the Hongqi Red Flag brand, signals a push for technological sovereignty and a desire to lead, not follow, in global innovation. Using a homegrown car for presidential duties is rich in symbolism. The leader of China being chauffeured in a Chinese-made car projects an image of self-reliance and national confidence. It's not just a ride, it's a rolling embodiment of policy. From military parades to diplomatic receptions, every public appearance in the N701 sends a message. China is capable, proud, and serious about its vision of made in China excellence. It's about setting an example for domestic industries while subtly encouraging citizens to trust and invest in national products. On the global stage, this choice also has geopolitical weight. Vehicles like the N701 become tools of soft power, especially when showcased during international events or used to transport visiting dignitaries. It shows that China is building alternatives, not just in cars, but in tech, defense, infrastructure, and governance models. It also serves as a counter-narrative to Western technological dominance, suggesting that developing nations can forge their own paths without Western blueprints. For allies or aspiring partners, the N701 represents a potential shift in influence, from imports to partnerships, from dependency to mutual development. It's a mobile metaphor. It blends nationalism with futurism, strategy with spectacle. And in the era of multipolar geopolitics, even the choice of what the head of state rides in speaks volumes about where a nation sees itself and where it wants the world to see it going. Some of the citizens see such luxuries unnecessary, especially for a strictly protected official. Others celebrate it. Do you also think it's too much for a leader's car? Public's reaction, the debut of the N701, China's presidential state car, sparked a lot of attention, not just because it's sleek and luxurious, but because of what it represents. It's not just a car, it's a message. In a country where imported luxury brands have long dominated the image of prestige, it stands out as a bold declaration of Chinese capability and self-reliance. It's locally made, custom-built, and designed for the highest office in the country. That alone gives it a certain weight in the public eye. Chinese media didn't waste time hyping up the N701. State-run outlets covered it as a symbol of China's technological progress and design strength. The car is more than transportation. It's framed as a national achievement, proof that China doesn't need to rely on German or American automakers to build something worthy of presidential status. This kind of portrayal plays right into rising nationalist sentiments, especially among younger generations who are increasingly proud of domestic products. It's become trendy in China to support Made in China, and the N701 fits that trend perfectly. What's also interesting is how the car is shaping the way people think about luxury cars in China. For years, brands like Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and Audi were the go-to for anyone trying to show off status and wealth. But now there's this homegrown vehicle associated with power, class, and high design, and that starts to shift the landscape. Chinese brands are already upping their game in design and tech, and seeing something like the N701 being used at the very top level adds legitimacy and prestige to domestic car makers. Public reactions have been generally positive, especially online. People see it as a proud moment, a "we made it" kind of feeling. Of course, There's always a range of opinions, and some critics have questioned the costs or suggested it's more symbolic than practical. But symbolism matters. In Chinese culture, vehicles used by leaders carry a lot of meaning. The N701 isn't just a mode of transport, it's a rolling symbol of national strength, confidence, and modern identity. It's like a flag on wheels, reminding people that Chinese engineering is not only catching up, but leading in its own way. It reflects the direction China wants to go, both in terms of technology and how it presents itself to the world. And for the domestic automotive scene, it's a boost of credibility and aspiration that could change how people see and buy Chinese luxury cars for years to come. Let's continue the comparison then. If Chinese people see the technology as a worthy competitor to other presidential cars. N701 Comparative Analysis Presidential State Cars Worldwide. When it comes to presidential state cars, it's not just about getting from point A to point B. These ultra-secure, highly customized vehicles are rolling fortresses, symbols of power, and statements about each country's technological prowess and political culture. From the United States' massive, tank-like beast to Russia's luxurious but equally armored Aurus Senate, and even the relatively humble choices of some European leaders, state cars reflect a blend of national pride, strategy, and even ego. Let's take a casual tour around the world's most powerful rides and see how they stack up. Let's start with the most famous of them all, the US presidential limo, nicknamed the Beast. Officially a Cadillac, the Beast is less a car and more a tank in disguise. It weighs somewhere around 20,000 pounds, with armor-plated doors as thick as a bank vault, bulletproof glass, run-flat tires, a sealed cabin against chemical attacks, and even its own blood supply for the president make it a literal moving fortress. The design philosophy behind the Beast is pure security. There's no subtlety here. It's meant to say, the President of the United States is the most protected person on Earth. Its boxy, intimidating design also projects American might and a certain utilitarian brute force that fits with the US's global superpower image. Now, contrast that with Russia's Aurus Senate, the vehicle that replaced the German-made Mercedes-Benz S600 Pullman used by previous leaders. The Senate is more about prestige and national pride. It's the centerpiece of Russia's effort to showcase its own luxury auto manufacturing capabilities. Inspired by Rolls-Royce in design, but beefed up with thick armor plating and extensive defensive capabilities, the Senate is both a message to Russians about self-reliance and a flex on the international stage. It says, we don't need foreign technology. We can make our own, thank you very much. The fact that it looks elegant while housing serious protection also fits with the Russian leadership's interest in mixing imperial grandeur with modern power projection. In China, President Xi Jinping's ride of choice is the Hongqi N701, a state-produced luxury limousine that embodies Chinese heritage. Hongqi means red flag, a name rich with political meaning dating back to the Mao era. The N701 is designed with traditional Chinese design cues, like vertical grilles and a sense of stately elegance. It's armored, of course, but the messaging is less about overwhelming force and more about cultural confidence. China wants the car to say, "We're a civilizational power with deep roots and a bright future," aligning with the Communist Party's narrative of national rejuvenation. It's not as flashy or aggressive as the Beast, nor as European-influenced as the Senate, but it represents China's unique approach: discipline, self-sufficiency, and subtle strength. Then there's Germany, where the Chancellor typically rides in an armored Audi A8 or Mercedes-Benz S-Class. These cars are fast, sleek, and ultra-secure, but still very much normal luxury sedans on the outside. The philosophy here is about blending in, maintaining a sense of approachability while still ensuring elite protection. It's almost understated to a fault, but that fits with German political culture, which emphasizes responsibility, practicality, and restraint. You won't see German leaders waving from parade vehicles very often. They prefer to keep a low profile. The car reflects that same ethic. Over in France, the president uses vehicles like the DS7 Crossback or specially modified Citroëns. French state cars lean into national branding, supporting the domestic auto industry and showcasing French design flair. They're armoured, yes, but not built like battle tanks. The French car represents elegance, modernity, and a subtle assertion of national pride without the heavy-handed symbolism of some other countries. It's a rolling tribute to Made in France, and it fits a political environment that values both tradition and style. Meanwhile, in Japan, the Emperor and Prime Minister use specially modified Toyota Century limousines. These are ultra-luxurious, but not at all showy by Western standards. Simple lines, minimal chrome, and deep attention to craftsmanship. There's serious armour underneath, but the overall effect is more about refinement and quiet dignity. That reflects Japan's cultural values of modesty and respect, even in matters of state. There's no need to scream power when you can whisper it. Even countries with fewer resources still aim to make a statement with their state cars. For instance, India has equipped its Prime Minister with a heavily armoured Range Rover or Mercedes Maybach, but there's growing interest in developing a domestic equivalent to show off India's technological rise. Brazil's leadership uses a mix of armoured Audis and even vintage Rolls-Royces for ceremonial events, again balancing tradition with modern practicality. So, when comparing state cars worldwide, three main elements come into play: security, design philosophy, and political messaging. The beast is security first, all brawn and brute protection. The Aurus Senat is prestige meets power, showing off Russian tech with imperial flair. The N701 leans into cultural symbolism and domestic confidence. Europe blends in luxury and practicality, while Asian powers like Japan and China focus on heritage and craftsmanship. At the end of the day, presidential limousines are as much about identity as they are about transportation. They're moving symbols, part fortress, part billboard, part national ego. And just like the leaders who ride in them, they tell a story. Whether it's a story of dominance, resilience, elegance, or tradition depends entirely on who's behind the wheel and who's watching. You made it to the end of this video. Subscribe for more equally interesting content.